Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that, well, it touches all our lives, personal finance.
Yeah, and our source material for this whole exploration is Ramit Sethi's, that no-nonsense guide, I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Right. And our aim here really is to give you the most valuable, the most easily digestible insights from Sethi's work.
Exactly, cutting through all the noise so you can manage your money, more effectively.
Consider this your fast track, your shortcut to understanding what truly matters.
Mm. We've distilled Sethi's core ideas, pinpointed those common financial pitfalls,
Yeah, the things people stumble over.
and extracted concrete actions you can take, like right away to gain control.
And today, we're really going to focus specifically on navigating, well, the world of credit cards and understanding debt. That's a big one.
Yeah, it really is. Our mission is, pretty simple. Unearth the most impactful nuggets to help you optimize your financial well-being.
Right. We want to help you move beyond feeling maybe overwhelmed and anxious about money.
Towards a sense of clarity, real possibility.
Okay, so let's dig in. Why does getting a handle on our finances often feel like such a struggle? It's not like we're looking for complexity.
Well, a significant hurdle is just the sheer amount of information we're bombarded with.
Information overload.
Totally. Think about Barry Schwartz's The Paradox of Choice. Too many options can actually paralyze us. Sethi gives a great example in the book with 401k.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as the number of investment options goes up, the likelihood of employees choosing any fund actually goes down.
Wow. So more choice isn't always better. It's like facing a giant menu, right? Sometimes you just, I don't know, default to what's familiar or maybe do nothing at all.
Exactly that. And you mentioned the media. It often feels like the financial media doesn't prioritize what really matters,
Mm-hmm. You see endless articles on like tiny cost-cutting tips, but the stuff that could really move the needle, less attention.
That's a key point Sethi makes. Online financial sites, they often prioritize easily digestible stuff, like 10 quick ways to save $5 this week,
Right, the clickbait.
over more significant topics like understanding your retirement accounts or, the long-term impact of investment choices. The focus tends to be on generating clicks, rather than providing info that leads to real, meaningful change.
Okay, here's where it gets, well, really interesting.
Yeah.
Sethi also talks about this tendency he sees towards a victim culture in personal finance.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like some people are actively looking for reasons why the standard advice won't work for them.
Yeah, what's fascinating there is that inclination to blame external factors, instead of focusing on personal control.
Right.
The book mentions the reaction to a Save $1,000 in 30 Days challenge. A lot of people immediately just listed reasons why it was impossible for them.
Like that.
Oh, citing their income, specific circumstances, sometimes getting really, really specific about why their situation is different.
Right. It's the, well, if the economy hadn't,
Hmm.
or you don't understand my bills kind of thing. And Sethi really contrasts this sharply with people who, okay, maybe things aren't perfect, but they take action and start seeing results.
Exactly. He draws a line between those who seem to want excuses
Yeah.
and those who kind of thoughtfully look at their situation and just, move forward. Recognizing that learning means taking steps, maybe even making mistakes along the way.
And he kind of tackles those common objections head on, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The education system failed me, or credit card companies are evil, I'm scared of the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Even just, I don't have any extra money. He has counter arguments for pretty much all of them.
He does, and it's important. He does acknowledge some systemic issues exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But his focus is always on what you can control.
Okay.
So like with credit cards, yeah, they're profit-driven, obviously, but he argues the solution is understanding how they work and using them strategically, not just avoiding them.
Right, play the game.
Sort of. And, fear of the market is real, but that shouldn't stop you exploring diversified investments that fit your own risk tolerance.
And his big message in this part,
Yeah.
the 85% solution, I
Yeah.
really like that.
Me too. It's great.
Just focus on making progress instead of waiting for like absolute perfection.
Precisely. The book hammers this home. Taking action, getting it mostly right. That's way better than waiting forever for perfect knowledge and feeling stuck.
Yeah.
Like Sethi says, getting 85% of the way there is a huge leap from staying at 0.
Okay, so we've touched on why managing money can feel tough. Let's shift gears now to something more aspirational, the rich life. What's Sethi actually mean by that? Is it just about having loads of cash?
Well, what's insightful here is he totally redefines rich. It's way beyond just a dollar amount.
Okay.
He really stresses it's a deeply personal vision. It's unique for everyone. He shares his own examples, like prioritizing career choices that align with his interests.
Students he actually enjoys.
Yeah. Yeah. Helping his parents financially, consciously spending on things he values, like his apartment in New York, but choosing not to own a car.
Interesting trade-off.
It forces you to be intentional. Right. Make sure your spending matches your values, not just what society expects.
That really resonates. It's less about keeping up with the Joneses and more about figuring out what actually brings you satisfaction and then aiming your money there. He even uses small examples like wanting to comfortably grab a taxi sometimes or ordering appetizers without stressing about the cost.
Exactly. The book really pushes you to clearly define your own rich life. What do you want to be able to do? What experiences matter to you?
Being intentional.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about using your resources deliberately. And from that personal definition, Sethi lays out his 10 rules for a rich life.
10 rules.
Go.
Okay, give us the highlights.
Yeah.
Extravagant spending on what you love, ruthless cost cutting on what you don't.
Yeah.
That sounds powerful.
It is. It's all about making deliberate choices. Then there's the focus on big wins.
Big wins.
Yeah, those key actions that have a huge impact. Things like automating your savings and investments, negotiating your salary, stuff like that.
Okay, got it. Focus on the big levers.
Right. And another core idea is that investing should be kind of boring long term, but profitable.
Boring is good for growth. Okay, what else?
Understanding that, well, there's a limit to how much you can cut back, right? But there's usually no ceiling on your earning potential.
So focus on growing income too.
Exactly. Rule 5 is about listening politely to other people's tips, maybe, but ultimately sticking to your plan, the one that works for you.
Makes sense. Don't get sidetracked.
Yeah. Building spending frameworks is another one, like Sethi's personal rule. Always buy books without thinking twice.
I like that. It shows his values.
Yeah. Then there's a warning against constantly chasing the latest advanced financial hacks.
Oh, yeah.
He says consistency with the basics is what really gets results. The rule you're in control reinforces that personal responsibility idea we talked about earlier.
Right. Own it.
Being unapologetically different in your rich life choices. That's another. And finally, remembering to actually live your life outside the spreadsheets.
Don't get lost in the numbers.
Exactly. Set up the system so it supports your goals, and then go enjoy the life you've built.
All right, so we've got this framework for a rich life. Now let's get super practical. Credit cards. We hear so much about the dangers, the scare tactics, as Sethi calls them. But he has a different angle, doesn't he?
He really does. Sethi challenges that standard kind of negative view. Instead of just seeing them as bad, he presents them as potentially valuable tools, offering like short-term interest-free loans if you manage them responsibly.
Okay, interesting framing. Free short-term loans.
Yeah, and he points out the benefits like easier expense tracking, extended warranties on stuff you buy, car rental insurance, and of course, rewards points, perks.
But the key phrase there is responsible use, right? Paying that bill in full. Every single month.
Absolutely critical. Avoiding those massive interest charges, the APR and those late fees is essential. Non-negotiable, really.
And Sethi highlights the big win aspect of credit here, too. How a good credit history can literally save you tens of thousands of dollars on big things, like a mortgage.
Huge savings. And speaking of good credit, he breaks down the two main parts. Credit report and the credit score, often called the FICO score. Can you give us the quick version?
Sure. So your credit report is like your financial report card. It's a detailed history of your credit accounts, how you pay your bills, stuff like that.
Okay. The history.
All right. And your credit score, that's the 3-digit number, usually 300 to 850, that lenders use to judge how risky you are.
Your grade, basically.
Kinda. It boiled down to, do you pay on time? How much of your available credit are you using? How long have you had credit? Those are the big ones.
What influences it?
Okay, main factors are paying history, that's huge. Amounts owed, how much you're using versus your limits. Length of credit history, longer is generally better. New credit opening, lots of accounts quickly can ding it. And types of credit use like credit cards, loans, mortgages.
And where can you check these? You can get your free credit reports once a year from annualcreditreport.com. That's the official site.
Good to know. That table in the book showing how your score impacts mortgage rates.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really eye-opening.
Yeah, it really drives the point home, doesn't it? The difference between a good score and even a fair score can mean paying way, way more interest over the life of a mortgage.
Thousands and thousands more.
Exactly. And what's insightful is that focusing on improving your score, which might seem kind of abstract, actually has a much bigger, more tangible, long-term financial payoff than, say, agonizing over buying a coffee every day.
Right. It reinforces his big wins idea again.
Totally.
He also really warns against using credit cards to finance everyday stuff like the latest iPhone, right? He shows how fast that interest adds up.
Oh, yeah. That example is powerful. It shows the hidden cost of not paying your balance in full each month. And, the opportunity cost, the money you're spending on interest, could be growing if you invested it instead.
A real double whammy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get why good credit matters and how cards can be useful. Now, Sethi gives his 6 commandments of credit cards for using them well. Let's run through those. Number 1. Pay off your credit card regularly. Seems obvious, but he says it's the biggest factor in your score, like 35%.
It really is the most critical piece. Consistent on-time payments tell lenders you're reliable more than anything else.
So automation is your friend here.
Definitely. Setting up automatic payments is like the simplest, most effective way to never miss a due date. And that story about Eric Henry, getting fees and interest reversed just by calling after one mistake, that shows the value of being a good customer.
Right. Okay, commandment 2. Try to get fees waived. I like the script he gives for calling your card company about annual fees.
Yeah, that's a great example of being proactive. These companies are competitive. Often just asking politely if they can waive a fee, especially an annual fee, works.
Really? Just ask.
Often, yeah. And if they say no, you can usually ask to switch to a no-fee card from the same company. That way you keep the account open, which helps your credit history length.
Smart. Okay, number 3. Negotiate a lower APR. He points out how high the average APR is, making carrying a balance super expensive.
Right. And while the main goal should always be paying in full, if you do occasionally carry a balance, negotiating a lower APR can save you a lot in interest. That quote from Lila Nutt about saving money across all sorts of loans by negotiating rates, it shows the ripple effect.
It adds up. Commandment 4. Keep your main cards for a long time and keep them active. Why is the length important?
A longer credit history generally looks better to lenders. It shows stability.
Okay.
And for cards you don't use much, a simple trick is setting up a small recurring payment like Netflix or something. Just keeps the card active without you thinking about it.
What about closing old cards? People worry about that.
Sethi suggests that if your credit is generally good and you pay on time, closing an old card isn't usually a huge deal. Keeping them open is often better, but don't stress too much if you need to close one.
Gotcha. Number 5. Improve your credit utilization rate. That's how much you owe versus your total available credit, right? Lower is better.
Exactly. Think of it as a percentage. If you have a $1,000 limit and owe $300, your utilization is 30%. Lenders like to see that number low, generally under 30%, ideally even lower.
How do you improve it?
2 main ways. First, and most importantly, pay down your debt. That's priority 1.
Okay.
Second, after you've managed your debt, you can ask for credit limit increases, maybe every 6 to 12 months. More available credit lowers your utilization rate, assuming your spending stays the same.
But carefully, right? He mentions that story about Michelle Miller in college.
Oh yeah, cautionary tale. Getting huge credit limit increases and then running up debt. More available credit isn't helpful if you don't manage it responsibly.
Definitely. Okay, final commandment. Use your credit card's secret perks. This was cool. Like automatic extended warranties, car rental insurance, even concierge services.
Yeah, these are often totally overlooked but can offer real value, real savings.
How do you find out about them?
Sethi says, just call your credit card company. Ask for a full list, then actually use them when it makes sense. Those examples of people using points for amazing tricks in hotels, that shows the tangible upside.
Okay, so that's using cards well. What about common mistakes to avoid?
Well, one big one is closing accounts right before you apply for a major loan, like a mortgage. You generally want that history and available credit showing.
Okay, timing matters.
Yeah. And don't just accept BS late fees. Call and dispute them. That anecdote about the reverse cell phone cancellation fee applies here too. It often pays to push back politely.
Be persistent. What else?
Don't obsess over tiny temporary dips in your credit score. Focus on the long-term habits, paying on time, keeping balances low. Consistency wins.
Right. Don't micromanage the score itself.
Exactly. And avoid rate chasing, constantly switching bank accounts or cards for a tiny bit more interest. That time and energy is usually way better spent on those big wins.
Like asset allocation or earning more.
Right. That story about Mike saving maybe $300 a year chasing rates versus focusing elsewhere, that highlights the point perfectly.
And a big warning sign. Don't use balance transfers, 401k loans, or home equity lines of credit, HELOCs, to pay off credit cards, right?
Yeah, he's pretty strongly against that. It might feel like a quick fix, but it often just masks the underlying spending issues and can put your retirement or your home at serious risk. Adds complexity, doesn't solve the root problem.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's shift to the big topic of debt itself. Student loans, credit cards. Sethi notes that statistically, debt is kind of normal now, but he asks, should it be? Especially for just everyday stuff.
Right, and he really digs into the psychology of debt here. He introduces this concept of invisible money scripts.
From Dr. Brad Klontz.
Exactly. These are like unconscious beliefs we have about money that drive our behavior, things we don't even realize we believe.
Like what kind of scripts?
Oh, things like, everyone has credit card debt, it's normal, or maybe I deserve to buy this now, or even talking about money is rude. These scripts can normalize really unhealthy financial habits.
Wow. Those beliefs we don't even examine. And he points out something else critical. Many people in debt don't even know the total amount they owe or when they might actually pay it off.
Yeah, that lack of awareness is a huge roadblock. You can't fix a problem if you don't know its size.
So what's the antidote?
Having a plan. Sethi really stresses turning debt from this big, scary, emotional thing into just a math problem you can solve.
Making it concrete.
Exactly. And he shows with student loans, using that example of Tony's $30,000 loan, how even small extra payments can save you huge amounts of interest and years off your repayment time. He encourages using financial calculators to see this for yourself.
It makes it tangible. And he seems a little impatient with the constant complaining you see online sometimes, right? The people who just list reasons why they can't do anything.
Yeah, he really pushes back against that victim mindset. He's all about personal responsibility and taking action, even small steps.
So for student loans, what action does he suggest?
Call your lenders. Talk to them. Ask about options like refinancing, maybe changing your loan terms, consolidation. See what's possible. He shares success stories like Dan Bullman and Lila Nutt, who did just that and improved their situations.
Okay, proactive steps. Now, switching to credit cards. When do they go from being useful tools to being, well, bad debt? He says it's usually gradual.
Yeah, it's rarely like one big mistake. It's more often a slow creep, spending a little more than you make, month after month.
And the balance grows.
Exactly. But that story about Stephanie Ganowski turning things around after reading the book, it shows that change is possible even if you feel buried.
That's encouraging. He also talks about the guilt and shame people feel, right? How that stops them from even looking for solutions.
Absolutely. People feel embarrassed, they hide it, but he points out how many Americans carry a balance, how many only pay the minimum. It's common, even if it's not ideal. Hiding doesn't help.
And his core advice, the absolute key for using credit cards effectively, he says it over and over.
Pay the balance in full every single month. That is the #1 rule.
Got it. He calls being in credit card debt the triple whammy. What does he mean?
Okay, so first, you're getting hammered by high interest rates, often 20% or more. Second, it drags down your credit score, making all borrowing more expensive. And third, there's the emotional toll, the stress, the anxiety. It's draining.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what are his 5 steps to getting rid of credit card debt? How do you tackle it?
Okay, step 1, figure out exactly how much you owe. Make a simple list or spreadsheet. Each card, the balance, the APR, the minimum payment. Get the facts down.
No more hiding. Get clarity.
Okay.
Step 2.
Decide what to pay off first. There are 2 main methods. Avalanche, where you tackle the highest APR card first.
Which saves the most money mathematically.
Right. Or the snowball method, where you pay off the smallest balance first, regardless of APR.
For those quick wins, the motivation boost.
Exactly. Sethi says just pick one. Don't get paralyzed analyzing, which is perfect. The most important thing is to start. He shares Sean Stewart's story using the snowball method successfully.
Just get moving. Okay, step 3.
Negotiate down your APR. Call your card companies, use the script he provides, ask for a lower rate. Charlotte S.'s success story shows it's possible.
Worth the call. Step 4.
Decide where the extra money to pay down the debt will come from. But he warns against risky stuff like balance transfers or raiding retirement accounts.
So where should it come from?
Reducing spending, using something like his conscious spending plan, finding ways to earn more, even just a bit, the next $100 idea, maybe doing a save $1,000 in 30 days challenge, and definitely setting up automatic extra payments towards the debt.
Make it systematic. And the final step, number 5.
Get started, like within the week. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take action now. Melissa Brown's story really emphasizes just starting.
Action over analysis. And as a concrete first step for week 1, he says.
Get your credit score and your credit report. Know where you stand. That's your starting line.
Right. That initial step, understanding your situation, is so crucial for building that foundation for your own rich life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, let's try and summarize the big takeaways from this deep dive into Ramit Sethi's ideas. It seems clear. Taking control really starts with understanding your own relationship with money.
Those invisible scripts.
Yeah. Then optimizing your credit cards, using them strategically.
Playing offense, not defense.
Right. And finally, aggressively tackling any debt you have. And his big message, again and again, just getting started is the most important thing you can do. Don't wait for perfect.
Exactly. And hopefully this discussion has given you some practical strategies, some real concrete steps you can use right away, not just abstract ideas.
Yeah. Actionable knowledge. Okay, here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. What's one of those invisible money scripts that might be running in the background for you, influencing your decisions without you even realizing it?
Something to reflect on.
Yeah, take a moment and think about that. And maybe, just maybe, take that tangible first step toward building your rich life. Do the week 1 action. Check your credit score and your report this week. See where you stand.
Definitely. And remember, this deep dive, it's really just scratched the surface. The full book goes much deeper into optimizing banking, how to actually start investing, building that conscious spending plan.
Lots more to explore.
Yeah. So we definitely encourage you to keep digging into these topics on your journey to, greater financial well-being.